So this is the first section of Chapter 5 of Principles of Psychology and is mainly concerned with developmental psychology. Developmental psychology is the study of how the mind and behavior progress as an individual grows up and ages. The first part of this is the developing brain. So we'll begin with a zygote is a fertilized egg. An embryo is an early developing individual, typically a sphere of dividing cells. Inner cell mass is the clump of cells inside a mammalian embryo that will form the body. The fetus is the developing individual at the stage where major organs and structures are formed. Neural tube is the early stage of developing nervous system, usually forms brain and spinal cord. So it's like the baby central nervous system, kind of ish. Neurogenesis is the division of cells that become neurons. The developing brain continued. Cell migration is a stage of development when neurons and other cells migrate to final position in brain. Differentiation is the process by which individual cells become more and more different from one another. Synaptogenesis is the formation of synapses, like neurogenesis is the formation of neurons. Neuronal cell death is the normal stage of development when some cells, including some neurons, die. Synapse rearrangement is a phenomenon of new synapses forming and old ones retracting. Teratogen is a substance that disrupts prenatal development. Fetal alcohol syndrome is a condition in which a mother's alcohol consumption results in the mental impairment in children. In other words, drinking while pregnant can bring about negative effects on the child's mental capacity and may produce very distinct facial features. So, in other words, mothers should not drink while they are pregnant. Or they should be careful about it. Experience guides brain development. The sensitive period is the time during development when exposure to a stimulus has the greatest effect on a particular behavior. Plasticity or neuroplasticity is the ability of brain to change in structure or function. And finally, the developing mind. An infant is a young child that has not yet learned to talk. Simple reflexes are unlearned automatic responses to specific stimuli. Motor development is the progressive increase in motor abilities displayed by growing babies. Sudden infant death syndrome, or crib death, is death that occurs when a baby less than a year old simply stops breathing while asleep. Visual cliff is apparently steep drop in floor that is actually covered by a clear surface, and visual cliff is often used to measure depth perception. Habituation is a simple type of learning through repeated presentation of stimulus, and the stimulus elicits weaker and weaker response. So, as a method by which the child is introduced to stimuli and frequently, and the response tends to get weaker and weaker. And habituation technique is a method of discerning stimulus recognition by examining evidence of habituation. In other words, habituation technique studies habituation to determine recognition of stimulus in children. And that is all for the first section of the Chapter 5 on developmental psychology and principles of psychology. Thanks for tuning in.